political panel now to react. Grant Stern is the executive editor for Occupy Democrats, and Melanie Collette is a policy analyst for the Committee for Constructive Tomorrow. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Oh, where's my match? Because I need to light some dynamite because this discussion, I think, will be explosive. So in light of everything that has been exposed about what really went down in 2016, what do you expect the results to be from this bombshell report? Let's start with you, Melanie.
My expectations, as opposed to what I hope will happen, might be a little different. I am really hoping that people are going to be held accountable, and that, quite frankly, the Republican administration, the Trump administration, comes with the same exact energy that the Biden-Harris administration came with the false accusations against President Trump, not for revenge, not as a get back, but as a matter of justice, to go against the American people in 2016, to sabotage Trump 1.0's administration. Was not only unethical, but it seems illegal, and I hope that people are held accountable, and again, like I said, with the same exact energy that they prosecuted, or I should say persecuted, President Trump.
Yeah, most definitely, Melanie, in terms of the same exact energy and then what they accused President Trump of, they did themselves. But this is an explosive report. The mainstream media is not covering it. A few other networks are. But this makes Watergate look like basically not a whole lot. I mean, between this grant, this report, as well as what we saw with the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental acuity, the Democrats really have a lot to repent for, because this, with the evidence explained, and certainly Tulsi Gabbard is providing that with her recommendation, it's something that we have to look into, because Barack Obama was leading the Justice Department as well as our intelligence officials to lie about Russia and their interference, or non-interference, as we now know, in the 2016 election.
Well, thanks for having me on to talk about this. First of all, if President Donald Trump brought the same energy to actually accomplishing things that he does to lying about President Obama and making up distraction stories, he would get a lot done. But he doesn't. And I'm going to take a second to agree with him about Tulsi Gabbard here. She's wrong. And I have a source. I actually have an unimpeachable source about Russian election interference in the 2016 election, which he probably is not going to agree with me on. But this source's name is Tulsi Gabbard. And when she went on Joe Rogan's show in 2018, she said that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. So I just think that Tulsi Gabbard is out on a political limb here, because she's been sent there on a mission by her president to do a job. Her job is to distract from a Jeffrey Epstein file that will not be released. There's some energy that we're not seeing with the Obama case, right? We're not seeing that cover-up energy coming out of the White House. They only saved that for the Jeffrey Epstein file. And let's be real here. If you wanted to actually prosecute somebody for an actual crime, you would hand documents in the proper way over to the DOJ.
She did.
Not declassify them and release them and say, hey, I'm not a prosecutor and I'm not a grand jury, but I'm here to make all the allegations of criminality.
That's the process. And just to push back a little bit,
that's not how you get a conviction in America.
She was not in charge of the DNI at that point in time when she made those claims.
She was a member of Congress. She had access
now she has all the information.
A lot of non-public information.
It's a very different set of circumstances.
So she took her non-public information as a congresswoman and went to Joe Rogan, and she said Russians interfered.
But Grant, here's the thing, though. I can understand your premise in terms of a person having a position at a specific point in time without additional information. But being head of the DNI, you're privy to higher levels of classified information, which would warrant a change in opinion. So I understand that you believe in justice, but the way you believe in justice is just Republicans, and that's not real justice. But moving on,
Krisha, tell me how the justice
President
system works.
Trump also addressed Senator Adam Schiff's mortgage loan fraud.
Now it looks like Adam Schiff really did a bad thing. They have him. Now let's see what happens. It's not up to me. It's not up to, I stay out of it purposely. But it's mortgage loan fraud. It's a big deal.
Seems like Adam Schiff's motto is similar to Grant Stearns and other Democrats: rules for thee, not for me. He should be held to the full extent of the law, Melanie. And we've seen, let's say through another example with regard to Tish James right here in New York. It seems like Democrats just move forward and just lie outright and on paper. What say you?
For sure. And you know what's really funny? You always wonder, like, where they come up with these false charges against Republicans and against their candidates like they did with President Trump. And it turns out that they just go through what their own crimes are and then accuse other people of those same crimes. That seems to be how that tends to work. So you have Tish James doing something similar, Adam Schiff doing something similar, and I agree with you. They should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The law does not apply to Republicans only. It also applies to Democrats. And it seems like they have him dead to rights. We'll see what happens. Of course, he's entitled to his day of court, and I sincerely hope that there are cameras in the courtroom. Adam Schiff is a absolute known liar. He lied over and over again during Trump 1.0 and said that there was evidence that didn't exist. And so he is a known public liar. And there seems to be no punishment for that, no apologies for that. And so if he actually
look at Donald Trump,
maybe it's time for some justice.
Yeah, and he was also part of the Russia collusion hoax, and as well as providing false statements to Congress. And that, Grant, you mentioned I'm a lawyer. I am. I don't practice, but I am one. And in terms of the evidence, it should be really an open shut case. What you basically do is you look at their testimony in front of Congress and you compare it to what they've said in previous statements. So it should be very clear to show how the Democrats really lied with respect to this entire situation pertaining to Russia. But I do want to get to this. Say goodbye to bright colors in your cereals. I know John is excited. He's a health aficionado. And Fruit Loops and Apple Jacks have announced they will cut synthetic dyes by 2027, making America healthy again. This is something we both, I think Democrats and Republicans, everyone can get behind, making our kids healthy again and really getting rid of these terrible dyes. Grant, your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a few people care about dyes, but let's just talk about mortgage fraud here.
I think a lot of people
I got a
care.
Republican congressman committing mortgage fraud, refinancing his place up in D.C., a very nice townhouse right around the corner from the Capitol, by the way. And I'll be real with you here. You know, I think that we need to make a housing program for members of Congress that accommodates just them, because I talk to some of these people. They all have issues with housing in D.C., with maintaining multiple houses. I mean, come on, can't we make the states pay for congressional residences that are reasonable within D.C. and kind of cut all this stuff? You know, we have a Republican congressman who's $20,000 a month behind his bills and getting evicted from his place in D.C. We hear about Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, staying in like a group housing situation in D.C. that's a little bit odd. Why don't states simply, you know, buy homes for the congressional delegations in D.C. Or something like that? I think that there's a solution to this problem, and it's not partisan, and it's not political, and it's not about accusing any one person, because I proved that a Florida congressman committed mortgage fraud on paper, just like you guys are talking about, and he's still a congressman. So that's my 2 cents.
Hey, Grant, you know I love you, right? I want to hear your answer. You know I love you. That might be the dumbest thing you've ever said since coming on this show.
Nah,
Look,
thanks, man. I mean, look, it's not about Fruit Loops,
listen,
but it's serious.
If you run, you know I love you. If you run for Congress, you got to accept what the job entails. You know how much it pays.
I agree, but I'm saying that we shouldn't accept what the job entails.
You don't run for Congress and expect a hand up. Stay in the private sector and work that out.
Nah,
Exactly.
right. I'm talking about the reality of Congress here. Real people
hold on, did
have
someone
trouble.
say mortgage fraud? Hold on. We got another example. New York Attorney General Letitia James incites violence by demonizing immigration enforcement officers.
And the vast majority of individuals who are being secreted and kidnapped at night are individuals who, again, are facing civil deportation and not criminal enforcement. It's important that we make a distinction. It's important that individuals understand that individuals are being caught up in these ICE raids, innocent individuals.
And it's important that elected officials don't lie on mortgage applications, but she spreads false information and downplays the people who broke the law to be in our country right here and right now, especially after the shooting of an off-duty CBP agent conducted by 2 illegal migrants who should have never been in New York City, Melanie.
And, you know, it's literally her job to care about victims of crime. And she does, the only victims she seems to, or quote unquote victims, she seems to care about are people who are picked up that didn't commit any crime. You committed a crime when you're in the country illegally. New York City is over budget, like $2 billion, taking care of migrants. That is stealing from the taxpayers of New York City, and probably stealing from the taxpayers all over the country, because much of those funds, I'm sure, is a federal pass-through to the state. She's absolutely ridiculous, and New York needs to think again, needs to do something with her. I am convinced that she is just a negative, nasty, not nice person. And she's really repulsive, quite honestly, to not care about victims of crime or to care about the people who are committing crimes more than she cares about crime victims, which is her job as Attorney General.
Yeah, I mean, she ran an entire campaign to be elected Attorney General of New York State, saying that she wants to get Trump. That was her entire platform, political platforms here. But in terms of what John said, Grant, I do want to give you a chance to react, as well as to Letitia James, because, yeah, here's another example of mortgage fraud within the Democrat Party and everything that she stands for in terms of not prosecuting the people who are actually committing crimes within her state.
Letitia James is not in charge of prosecuting murders in the state of New York. That's not the state attorney general's job. And anybody who commits a murder or assaults a police officer, even if they're merely storming the Capitol on January 6th to try and attempt a coup and keep Donald Trump in office, they should all be punished. They should be prosecuted. They should be jailed. They should be punished. Now, Donald Trump pardoned those people because he's in favor of police officers assaulting people. I know this is all very funny, but let's just be real here, right?
No, people getting assaulted
this
isn't funny,
is actually a fact. You guys are like, hey, this one customs officer died, but actually hundreds of police officers right in the heart of our Capitol were assaulted.
We run out of time. Hold on, guys. We don't have any more time.
Okay.
Melanie, I'll let you respond. 15 seconds.
Have a nice one.
15 seconds, Melanie.
None of this is funny, but reaching back to J6 is absolutely funny. Those people were persecuted, not prosecuted, and as usual, Grant's arguments are ridiculous.
So you don't back the blue.
So
you hate cops.
We have to end it there. Grant, you had a bad day, but you know I love you, Melanie, and you know what? I also love you too, Grant. Why? Because I can't let you keep me out of heaven. Grant Stern, Melanie, Collette, thank you so much for joining First Edition.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.